Brilliance Audio presents In Putin's Footsteps, Searching for the Soul of an Empire Across Russia's 11 Time Zones by Nikita Khrushcheva and Jeffrey Tayler, performed by Kathleen Gatti. Kaliningradians joke that the House of Soviets is their most prominent landmark. At least we learned it is a useful one. For a reasonable price, they told us, you can bribe a guard to enter it at night for wall climbing or to throw a drinking party with a view of the city and the sea. After sifting through 2 floors of the museum's Kant memorabilia, we mounted a steep staircase leading up to a half-empty chamber where the philosopher's open-mouthed plaster death mask, so fragile and delicate, lay under glass. The mask left us with the impression that we had come across a more refined version of Lenin, embalmed in his mausoleum on Moscow's Red Square. Indeed, Kant's iconic presence here and throughout the museum and town is almost Lenin-like, appearing when least expected, yet almost omnipresent. To paraphrase an old Russian saying, first it was the 19th century poet Alexander Pushkin who was Nasze Всё, our everything. Then it was Lenin, and here in Kaliningrad it is Kant. Our stay in Kaliningrad drew to a close. Early on the first sunny afternoon we had experienced since landing, we arrived at the city's airport to find its departure hall in chaos. Unruly lines of passengers shifted between registration counters inexplicably. Check-ins for flights were first announced at one counter, but then switched to others without warning. No one could say why. Loud gaggles of Chinese students showed up and barged in, pressing around us, leaving us little hope of making our flight. We managed to reach a counter only by cutting into lines, as did everyone else. So much about traveling in Russia has become easier, but the Russians' behavior made sense here, and was a reversion to historical norms. In the past, the Russian version of standing in line was akin to storming a cattle wagon. Putin's stern gaze set in amber fixed us from the souvenir stands as, just barely, we managed to check in and head for the gate to board our flight. Even in the city Putin once hoped to transform into a tiny Europe within Russia, chaos Russian style was still, at least in places, a fact of life. We flew out over the sea, circled around, and turned east. From high above we saw the land beyond Kaliningrad's concrete bounds sweep away into rain-drenched countryside, the Baltic Plain, a band of sandy soil terrain and pine forests stretching from Germany in the west across Poland all the way to St. Petersburg in the east. Seen from the sky, the plain offered somnolent vistas promising a tranquility that surely helped men of letters, including Kant and Hoffmann, in their meditation and creative labors. We even spotted the resort town of Svetlogorsk that we had visited earlier with Maxim and his Audi. There we had found the facades of new shops and markets copying the old, resembling Disney-like recreations of the pre-war Prussian buildings surrounded by drab Soviet suburbs. For us, the scene stood for the spirit of Putin's country, a country often in contradiction with itself.